Good evening. Another episode of the Hillbilly Think Tank with me, Elliot Spencer Keck, here in Hardin County, Kentucky. And as I've stated before, I'm running for magistrate here, and I just want you guys to get to know me. And one of the big things that I want you to know about me is that empathy is something that I hold in high regard. This is something that, I learned in Sunday school. I learned in my nearly daily Bible readings growing up. Actually, they were daily. And I really can't get over the fact that the Beatitudes and Matthew 25 would lead anyone to think that empathy is a bad word. And yet, that's what I am being constantly told by my US government and by folks who stand up there and tell me in Congress as oh they pray how grateful they are to have cut off SNAP benefits to poor kids, to have cut funding for special education. And this funding was already allocated. It was already voted upon, approved, and yet the current administration has withheld federal funds. The U.S. Department of Education has withheld various federal funds for K through 12 education, but these are including special education programs. And these programs, man, they help the most vulnerable among us. And what did the Bible say about that? The Beatitudes talked all about taking care of the widows and orphans. Heaven is going to be inhabited by the meek, is what we're told. And I just don't know which Bible we've traded off for to get this anti empathy theology thrust into our politics. Now, you can try to tell me all day long that you're a Christian, but you're cutting SNAP benefits and you're cutting special education benefits. You're harming the most vulnerable among us, the kids. What on earth are you reading in the Bible? Are you just looking for something to help you feel good about being a bigot? Make you feel good about only want to take care of your family? Because, that's not what I heard in the Bible. Treat your neighbor as yourself. Doesn't say take care of just your own. Doesn't ever say that. Because we're supposed to go out and help widows and orphans that aren't our widows and our orphans, but those outside of our community, outside of us, taking care of the strangers amongst us, welcoming them into it, our midst. That is all empathy. And we are now on a solid trip of we'll do whatever we can to bow down to these oligarchs in our midst. And they're not even really in my midst. I don't ever get to rub shoulders or have a beer with oligarchs. And as I said before, we're told that corporations are people, and yet I've never had a cup of coffee with a corporation. Definitely never had a bourbon with a corporation. But I see these folks, these oligarchs, these corporations getting the tax breaks that they want at the expense of SNAP benefits, food benefits for poor, starving kids. Kids that come into my classroom every day hungry, asking me for food. Now, this is a travesty. Why should that be in this land of plenty? Yet we're trying to do anything and everything we can to believe that down economics is real. Trickle down economics has done nothing but be the urine trickling down the oligarch's pant leg and then asking us to lap it up, telling us that's trickling down to help us out, to wet our thirsty palate. And it's not true. I'm not getting no nourishment from trickle down economics. You know, I have been the kid, like I said before many times, that's been, man, never forget the trauma of having to go into the dumpster. Actually, watch my little brother go into the dumpster because I was too embarrassed while he and my mom were diving in the dumpster because we had no food. And we went behind a Safeway grocery store to get some food that they had thrown out. Nothing sticks to your memory more than that as a kid. You know, there's time I was eating goat feed that our goats are supposed to eat, but it had some molasses in it. So it was better to me than just being able to eat the plain old oatmeal we had in the house because we had nothing else for supper. That should not be the case for any kid in this modern America. We know how to grow food by the plenty in this nation. We are not a nation that needs to let any of the kids in our nation starve. We shouldn't let our soldiers starve. We shouldn't let our federal government employees starve that keep the lights on in the Department of Energy, that inspect nuclear weapons and nuclear materials. Yet we're not paying them. We're furloughing them. We're laying them off. We're laying off my friends that still work at the VA. I used to also work at the VA. But, you know, we're laying those folks off, furloughing them. Heck, I got to go get an appointment tomorrow at the VA. How does it feel to know that the folks who work in the veterans rehabilitation section of the VA, the folks that help decide what percentage someone should get for disability, that section of the VA, right now they're being furloughed? That's a travesty. That is keeping food out of a veteran's mouth because those folks determine what percentage veterans get in disability, and that determines how much disability pay veterans get after traumatizing their bodies and their lives in a war that lasted over 20 years. And I was in that war. And I've been in the war in the first Iraq war, Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I was part of that. I was on deployment when the attack happened in 2001. And I was with the 1st Marine Division and for the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit. We were the first ones in country. You know, and yet my colleagues, we don't call them colleagues, I call them our brothers and sisters that serve with me, are going to be deprived of a disability check because we don't have people working in the section that determines their disability level and how much that they should get. No, this isn't right. If y'all don't know your history, you need to go back and look at what happened when we did this in the early 1900s. After World War One, we had starving vets who were wanting some pay for what they had done so they didn't have to watch their kids starve. Watch what happened then when we had folks who were happy. Hoover was happy to have those veterans basically die and go untaken care of. They had whole encampments in DC trying to redress their grievance, saying we should not watch our kids starve and die after we sacrificed for our country. Go look up that history. Go see what General Smedley Butler had to say about that, the Marine Corps general who stood up for his fellow vets and said, no, these Hoover camps are BS, mistreating these veterans, sending in troops to drive out combat veterans that were camped out in DC and to treat them like common criminals. That's coming. If we don't feed American citizens, looting in stores could be around the corner. Plenty of poor folks are not going to watch their kids starve. I'm not willing to see kids come into my classroom on a daily basis hungry, unable to pay attention to my class because they know when they go home at night, they're not going to get another meal besides what they get at school. When they go home Friday afternoon, they're not going to get anything to eat over the weekend. This is not an American dream that I ever dreamed of. This is becoming an American nightmare. And y'all are still okay with it? You bought into it for so long, and now you want you're just going to ride it out? Just keep on, oh no, my leader could never do anything harmful. He doesn't do anything bad. He's got gold all over the White House now. You know, and that's good for him. That's good for America. Really? Starving kids is fine. And yet putting gold all over the White House, building a whole new wing that we didn't need that's going to be garnished in gold is fine. No, it's not. And this, if I have to say this story every single night, I will. Not taking care of special ed kids because we don't want to fund their education. We don't want to fund the education for kids who need to learn English as a second language. We're okay with that in this country because we've just turned our backs on empathy. Well, I haven't. A vote for me is a vote for empathy. Hardin County is a great county in this great state. And our fiscal responsibility in this county is to make sure that no one drives on crappy roads. No one has to pay taxes that are not going to go help out every citizen in this county. We should have the best roads, the best school facilities, the best funded schools, teachers paid so that they live at a higher middle class level, not right on that poverty line. Our teachers shouldn't have to be living off of SNAP food for their kids to be able to eat at night. You know, we should be taking care of our brothers and sisters. So y'all just please think about this as we vote up and down in the next election. All right, it's time to choose people with empathy. This is not a bad word. These are Jesus words. These are Buddha words. These are the words of all the great thinkers, theologians, philosophers. I know atheists in my personal circle who have more empathy than some people that are calling themselves Christians. And that hurts. That really, really hurts. Because I still call myself a Christian. I still go to church. But I also never, ever push for policies that would kick people off of food benefits, especially kids. So as you go to the polls, make sure you think about this. Is this person going to vote for the richest people to be able to keep getting richer and telling us that their trickle down urine, the trickle down economics is going to help us? We know it's not, right? We've tried this joke now for 40 some years and it's worn out. It's wearing us out. Let's take our empathy back, spread it, because we are our brothers' keepers. We're our sisters' keepers. We love ourselves and we love our neighbors just as much as we love ourselves. And let's prove it. Y'all have a great night. Vote for me for magistrate and vote for other people that you know have empathy for everyone in America. Have a great night.